So, on the episode today with Robbie G, we talk about going pro in the music industry, managing the physical demands of being on tour, how to get advice from those who've been successful before you, turning yourself into a business, how to blow up on social media, and how spiritual practices and dreams can connect you deeply to your intuition, and a lot more. This is a great episode. Make sure you listen right to the end. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Constructive Conversations. The intention behind this podcast is to explore the mindset and actionable strategies that empower entrepreneurs to achieve success in all areas of life, while inspiring listeners to confidently pursue their own ambitious dreams. The reason why I do this podcast is because 10 years ago I knew I wanted to start a business, but I had no idea where to start, I had no role models to follow, and didn't know where to begin. So the goal is to provide that inspiration for new entrepreneurs and to provide fuel for those who are already doing it. Joining us today, we have the incredibly talented Robbie G with us. Robbie G has made a name for himself in the hip-hop world, starting in Guelph, Ontario. Now lives the West Coast life in Kelowna and British Columbia. Robbie's talents don't just include headlining shows and collaborating with legends. He brings a real entrepreneurial attitude to music, understanding the business side, and he also now helps other musicians earn the money that they deserve. Robbie, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
And you're on tour right now, so where are you actually calling in from?
I'm in Ontario right now, just finished a couple of shows here and then flying out to Halifax tonight to do a few shows in the Maritimes.
That's great. And so you stopped in what we found out last week is we're both from we have the same hometown, so we both grew up in Guelph, Ontario. So you had a show there just recently, right?
I've got one coming up in a couple of weeks. I've got a show in Guelph on December 6th, yeah.
Well, that's great. I'm just going to miss you. I'm heading back east just after that. Tell us, more about what you do, and maybe we'll work backwards and get your origin story. What does your life look like today?
Life today is, I spend a lot of time on the road. I think this year did 200 plus shows across the country, so not spending too much time at home, hunkered down. I'm on the road a lot, and hopefully next year I can trim that back a little bit, just focus on doing a few more bigger shows, and then having my team kind of run a lot of the club gigs and stuff that we've got across the country. So yeah, it's taxing. It's a lot to do 200 shows in a year and be on the road like all the time, just like month after month after month. And yeah, that's a hard to do, to be honest, but I do enjoy it. I love meeting fans and interacting with people and watching the business grow and just being on the ground, hands-on with all the events and stuff, and just making sure that everything kind of runs and flows smoothly. So I do enjoy it, and I love being on the stage. I love performing, so it's been great to do that. Yeah.
Awesome. So that actually brings up a lot of questions for me, because I don't have any experience in the music industry. You're the first musician really I've had on the podcast. So what sort of strategies do you need to have to maintain your level of performance while you're on the road that much? You're away from home and the habits and the comforts and luxuries of home. So I ask myself when Taylor Swift is on tour, traveling the world, how do you keep up to be able to perform when you're not sleeping in your own bed every night? Do you have specific strategies around that?
I would say trying to make every place that I'm in feel a little bit more like home. I prefer to stay in Airbnbs as opposed to hotels, to just have that more kind of homey type feel. Trying to stick to my workout schedule and maintain, physical fitness every day and exercise, even if I don't really have much time, because in the vehicle on the road for a long time and then at the venues for a long time, just wherever I can get it. If it's at a gas station, doing some push-ups while the vehicle's getting filled up, or in the green room doing some push-ups before the show, or some sit-ups, and just trying to stay physically fit. Obviously hit the gym when I can, and I just went to a yoga class today, which felt great, just to get a little stretch in. And then diet is, it's tricky. I definitely try and hit grocery stores when I'm on the road as much as I can, to try and get some chicken and rice and some vegetables and fruit, and eat actual food as opposed to relying on fast food. all the time. Like it's not healthy, and it's really hard to maintain that. So I'm getting better at it throughout the years, dialing it in a little bit more and having the right kind of stuff to bring with me on the road, and make sure that I visit a grocery store or a farmer's market or something to be able to get some real food.
Awesome. So yeah, definitely like you touched on the somewhere to rest, the nutrition, the exercise, all essential. So that's great. And now take us back a little bit. I understand you've been doing this since you were pretty young, like in your teenage years. What did that start look like? And did you have this vision back then of, touring 200 days out of the year when you first started?
Yeah, I think so. I was just looking at old notebooks that I had, kind of writing down what the plan was of how I wanted to grow the business and how I wanted to tour everywhere. And it started just by doing, 5 or 10 shows a year. And every show moving forward in my career, I've done more shows typically like this year than the year before. I think next year will be the first time I try and like pare it back a little bit, because this year was just like so much. But it really just depends the direction that things head next year. If there's opportunities to book some big tours, then I want to get on the road for all of the shows, then I'll go and do it. So, yeah, I had this vision at a young age, just that I wanted to tour and tour internationally more as well too. So I'm working on getting some paperwork done to be able to travel into the States and start touring there a little bit more, which I think is going to expand my following tremendously and just grow the business to a whole new level, being able to work in those markets. So yeah, I've had this dream for a while. I write my goals down. I write down what I want to see for the year. I make a plan, a 3-4 month plan, 6 month plan, year-long plan, 5-year, 10-year. So I kind of have a good idea of the trajectory of where I want to go and speak it and write it into existence.
Amazing. I love that. So when you were younger and started out, with your first shows, was there a point where there was a transition and you realized, okay, now I'm a professional. Like this is what I do. This is what I'm gonna do. What was your mindset around that? The initial stages.
Um, in turning pro from like just doing a few shows here and there, I would say, once I was able to, quit any jobs that I was working originally like full-time jobs, like 9 to 5s and overtime, and putting in hours wherever I could to make money to fund the business that I wanted to create, and, purchase my first runs of merchandise and all that kind of stuff to get the ball rolling. I would say once it really turned pro would be when I, got to the point where I could sustain myself fully through my musical endeavors and through doing shows and bookings and selling merchandise and making money off of my passions. Was the point where I was like, okay, now this is, more, I would consider it to be in a professional. I don't know, the word professional just seems strange to me, but at the same, I guess that's what I am. I'm a professional musician because I'm able to tour and sustain myself through making music, which is I'm very fortunate for, and I know that it's a really hard path and a struggle for a lot of young artists to get into, and I definitely want to help coach and teach younger artists to get to this level, to be able to put themselves fully into the music and go all in, and to teach them how to get to that point. Like, I find a lot of artists want to just jump to that pro level and just skip the steps, and like they jump into it too early and like, oh, I'm not going to work a regular job, I'm just going to make music, and then they're not making enough money, and then they end up having to go get a job somewhere. And I don't ever want to go backwards. I want to just continue moving forward and having this upward trajectory. So teaching artists how to build that foundation with their following and their finances, and then slowly taper off their regular job to the point where they can sustain themselves with music.
Yeah, I like that you give back to those who are trying to do what you've already done. And in that other vein, did you have mentors? And who were they, and who are your mentors now?
Not really, to be honest. I definitely didn't have any coaches early on in my career. I didn't even understand the concept of a coach. And, in the music space, there's really not that many that are doing that are providing any sort of coaching for younger artists. Yeah, it's not a thing. On the entrepreneurial side, somewhat there's coaches out there that can help you with your business and grow your business. And obviously, you're part of the same coaching group that I am with Dan Martell, and he's taught me a lot, but that's just happened within the last year now of hiring a coach myself. But yeah, I mean, the mentors of mine were just artists and people in the industry, people that I looked up to, that I worked with. There's an artist named Peter Jackson who I've definitely taken a lot of advice from and had some great conversations on what to do with this and that, and just someone who's inspired me along my way. Another artist by the name of Dio, who I originally met in high school. He came to my high school and did a performance there, and we've stayed in touch and been friends ever since. And he's brought me out to Europe for some shows and definitely taught me the ropes for a few different things in regards to like how to get grant funding and different things like that. So yeah, there's a couple artists here and there that I've spent some time picking their brains. But one thing that I did, which I would highly advise artists to do when they're starting out, I remember doing this. This is in like the MySpace days. I used to find people on MySpace that had like a little bit more of a following than me, people even in different genres like rock or country or whatever, and I would send them DMs, and I just said like, hey, I'm a new musician and I just want to get some advice on like how to make it, or steps that you've done to get to where you're at. And I was definitely blessed with a bunch of people reaching back out, and I remember getting on the phone with different artists and asking them and picking their brain and being like, hey, what do I do, how do I do this, how do I do that? And people are pretty open to sharing information and knowledge, and feel flattered, I guess, sometimes when they're asked those questions. So I highly encourage artists or any line of business to just see people who are at a higher level than you and then just reach out to them through a DM. And sometimes it might cost some money to get on a phone call with them, and other times it's sometimes they're willing to give free advice. So yeah, just reach out to anybody that you can and get game.
That's great advice, and I think that transfers across industries. There's always people like you who are willing to give back, and so it's just a matter of reaching out and approaching them and saying, can you teach me something? So if you got a DM from a young artist who's starting out, and they say, what are some valuable lessons that you can pass on to me, what would your advice look like?
I always definitely start with fundamentals, hard work. It takes a lot of work to be able to make it in this industry. It's not a regular job where it's a 9 to 5. A lot of days, I've definitely put in weeks where I'm doing, 80, 90 hour work weeks where I'm just grinding, and every waking second is just working on my music. And the business and building the brand and stuff. It takes a lot. There's so many different things that you got to do. So I would say number one is just work ethic. And that's not something that's necessarily taught. You've got to have it in you, and you've got to work at it every single day. Expand your knowledge, read books, look for advice, like I said, from other people that are ahead of you, and then build a brand, build a business. Don't think about it like you're just an artist. Think about it like you're a business. There's a line in a Jay-Z song where he says, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. And he's basically saying he's not just a businessman, he is an actual business. Like Jay-Z is a business. And I think that's what all artists need to recognize, is you are a business. And treat yourself accordingly. Show up on time, don't be drunk and wanting to party every night when you're at the shows. Be on point. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Just the fundamentals are so important, and then along the way work on things like building your merchandise, have products to sell to people. There's no way to make money off of music now other than merchandise, shows, and streaming music and stuff like that. Radio is kind of dying, so there's not much money in that. Not much money in much music and getting your videos played on TV or stuff like that. So yeah, really work on releasing music on a consistent basis, and stay on top of social media. You're not going to blow up nowadays unless you have a really good social media presence. So create a Facebook page, create an Instagram account, and post on those regularly. And if you feel discouraged at the beginning because you're not really getting much traction, like, don't worry about it. It's not about how many people liked your post. It's just staying consistent. There's another artist by the name of L.A. Russell who just made a post the other day saying, it took me 5,000 posts to get to where I'm at. And if you look on his Instagram page, he's done 5,000 posts. And I did the math on that real quick with a calculator. I was just like 365 days, because he posts pretty much every day. If you take 5,000 divided by 365, that means he spent 13.7 years of posting once every single day. And sometimes he posts a couple of times a day or whatever, so maybe that's a bit shorter of a timeline, but it's like literally it's 10 to 15 years of posting every single day, to the point where now he's got like over 1 million followers. So consistency.
Wow, that's a critical lesson, definitely, consistency. And I really like that line that he said from Jay-Z, you have to become a business. And I see this, we both learned this from Dan Martell, in entrepreneurship, that the new thing is to build your personal brand. And would you agree that that was already more popular in music, that you are the personal brand, and now sort of that's applying into business? What does your strategy look like in terms of building your personal brand? Like you mentioned, like, be consistent on social media. What other strategies do you use there?
Yeah, I mean, you want to have your face out there, so make sure that you're doing music videos is a massive thing. A lot of artists think that they can just release songs. I think it's so crucial to have facial recognition with your music. So releasing music videos, doing social media content where your face is the prominent thing that people see, putting it out there, doing photo shoots, getting good photographers to come out to your events, or videographers to capture some of the behind the scenes stuff that's going on while you're doing an event, and then clipping that all together and putting it out there. I think it's so important. You're 100% right. Your personal brand is everything in this music industry, and building trust with your fan base, and letting them into the inner story of who you are. People don't always purchase music now based on the music itself. They're purchasing it on the personality of the artist. So if they like you, if they care about you, if you like some of the similar things that they like, they're way more apt to want to support you and be a part of your world. It's like getting to know somebody like a friend, when you're getting to know them on their social media. So be open and be vulnerable and share the stories of your life, the breakups, the triumphs, the struggles, the hardships, the exciting times, and everything in between. Like, really share who you are as a person and be authentic as possible, because people pick up on that authenticity, and that's what they gravitate towards, and they want to feel connected to you as a person, not just listen to your music. They want to know who you are.
Yeah, that's great advice. So showing up consistently so people can get to know you, not necessarily in person, but with all the resources where you can appear online.
Yeah.
That's great advice. What are you looking forward to in the future? What is, you talked about, you set your goals, so what do the next 5 or 10 years look like for you?
Next 5-10 years, my big goal is to be able to tour internationally, to be able to go to Europe and do shows, to go to the States, to go to Australia, New Zealand, different places around the world, and share my music and share my gifts and my talents. So that's definitely high on the priority list. I want to build my company to eventually be $1 billion company within 10-15 years, and I think it's possible just on the trajectory that we're going on right now. I know that's a lofty goal, and some people might look at that and just be like, why? Like, why do you need to build such a big company? It's not so much about the money, but it's about the amount of people that I can affect, I always said early on, I don't want to make $1 million. I want to be able to affect 1 million people's lives. So, and maybe even more than that at this point. So I really want to, making money's nice, and building a company that brings in a lot of revenue is great. But I think the ultimate objective is to be able to help people, to make touring easier for artists, to help a lot of the younger artists starting out and giving them advice and a leg up in this industry that's a crazy world, and a lot of people are out there that are taking advantage of people and snakes. I've been snaked in this industry. I've been taking advantage of myself. So teaching people how to recognize that stuff. There's all the time my DMs get hit up by these like scam accounts trying to offer like promotion and this and that, or say that they're going to do this, or offer the moon to you and not be able to deliver on anything. So I think making artists aware of that, and just helping them navigate this really weird industry, because it's not the same as other industries, where there is a kind of like, even in the business that you're in, you can kind of see what the ins and outs of that industry are. I feel like in music it's a lot more in the shadows, and the information's not out there. It's not available for people. Like, most people don't even know what publishing is, or how to like book a show, or who to talk to in the industry to get their music in placements and Spotify lists and all sorts of things. Like, it's very very much in the shadows, and it's a like who's who and who knows who kind of an industry. So I feel like taking the veil back for a lot of people will help them. My ultimate goal, I just want to reach more people and help change people's lives, and put them in a positive mind state, and help teach them that they can do anything when they put their mind to it, and that they can achieve their dreams too, and teach them how to write down their goals, and how to really spark curiosity inside them, so that they can dream bigger and see life from a bigger perspective, and not just stick to their like hometowns and their own backyards, but to travel to cities around them and reach new people with their music, so that they can share that blessing. And then also people who aren't in music, just that are living their life, like teaching them to follow their passions, and teaching them about the beauty and the wondrous nature that we're gifted with, this awesome world, and really empowering people to know that they can do anything when they put their minds to it, to really instill in them that hard work pays off, that when they focus on something and really work at it, they can literally move mountains. So I want to help people, and help people become financially free, and teach them about money management, and teach them about how to live a good life and live a happy life. So I feel like there's a lot of people that are dealing with like depression and anxiety, and just feeling down and out a lot of the times, and not being inspired. And I don't know what is causing that. A combination of things: the government, the media that people consume, their upbringing, what they were taught in school, different things like that. So just trying to break through that noise and reach people's hearts, and let them know that anything's possible. So I know I said that 3 times now, that anything's possible, but it really is. Like, I really truly believe that you can do anything. It's just a matter of like, the distance between you and your dreams is hard work, and meeting people, and communicating, learning communication skills, and focusing on what you want with your life, and really bringing that and speaking it into existence. So that's kind of like a broad goal. A lot of those aren't really necessarily tangible, or things that I could write down, but I feel like the more people that I touch with my message, the more people that I bring into the fold, the more that I'm going to able to help raise that awareness and vibration in the planet, so that and I feel like I can create a good impact with that.
I love that. Those are amazing goals. Inspire 1 million people, and spread that message, which I love. Which you can do anything you set your mind to, sort of flip people into a new mindset, get them unstuck from whatever whatever mindset they're stuck in, that there's this huge expansive world that has room for you to do anything.
Yeah, like
Amazing.
what were your kind of challenges, to flip it back to you, like when you started your business and you didn't really know what to do, what what challenges did you face and how did you overcome them to get to where you're at?
Yeah, when I started, there was so much that I didn't know how to do. All the things I didn't even know that I didn't know how to do. And for me, it was I started the business. I was a firefighter full time, and I had my business part time, and that sort of obscured a bunch of the things that are necessary for business because I wasn't looking at my P&L. I wasn't, watching the numbers closely. I said, "Oh yeah, I'm doing jobs for people, and people are happy, so I must be doing well." But then when I took the business full time, it comes out pretty quickly. You're going to realize, is the company profitable or not? Yeah, so those were challenges. So the difference between playing business and actually doing it, making it happen, running a profitable company that's delivering a product that people like, that people enjoy, and then building the system that supports that. So for me, it was a lot of learning about systems, having ways to create repeatable results, and not just me running around doing this, doing things repeatedly, losing a lot of time there. But that's a good question. And then the other challenge that goes hand in hand with that is just the mindset, and like the limiting beliefs of, I need to do things this way. There's so many limiting beliefs. What's the cap on our earning potential? How many customers could we have? So there's a lot of work on that side of just mindset, and changing perspective, and having, and like you said, expanding perspective to realize, yeah, you can do whatever you set your mind to, and then being sure to set big goals and not, just keeping them small because, oh yeah, I know I can hit the small goal, so that's safe and secure. Really push yourself, push the limit, because growth happens on the extremities so the extremities of your comfort zone. So that's where I try to remain.
What is your,
Yeah.
you said your earning cap. What is your earning cap like?
Yeah, our goal for the company is 5 years from now to be at 5 million a year in revenue.
Nice.
So that's our stretch goal.
Love it.
And then upwards from there, we have some big long-term goals.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'll give you the 100-year goal. So
100-year. Oh,
pretty
wow.
soon, pretty soon, there's going to be hotels on the moon. That'll be the next vacation destination. There'll be people on Mars. 100 years from now, and I love looking at technology and the exponential curve of technology. You know, somebody's going to be living on Alpha Centauri, right? It's the nearest planet. Who's going to build the houses there? So somebody's got to build that. Yeah, whatever places people are going to be living in. So it might not be me who's there swinging a hammer, but if I can help lay the foundations of a company with a long-term vision that can make that happen and be part of that human expansion and exploration, then that's the 100-year goal.
Cool. Are you into like space and space exploration?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm a big fan of space
Okay. Do you think
for sure.
you'd ever do that, like what's that company, Blue Origin or whatever, that like flies people out on those little passenger shuttles
Hundred
to
percent,
space?
hundred
It's a
percent. That
$250,000.
that's in my goals. 100%. I wanted to be an astronaut when I was little. I said, okay, I'll be a fighter pilot. But then turns out I'm too tall to fit in a fighter jet.
Oh wow.
So I was like, well, I'll find another way to space. So yeah, that's in the goals.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would definitely,
Yeah.
I was big into that when I was young too. I definitely, there was a period of my life where I wanted to be an astronaut. I remember, yeah, just
Mhm.
like thinking about how cool it would be if I went to the moon, and then like started realizing like, oh, like a handful of people ever get that opportunity, and you need to be like a rocket scientist and do like 10, 15 years of like post-secondary education and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I am not built for this. I am not going to sit in the classroom for that long and read textbooks and try and figure that out. I've just never been that kind of a person. I didn't really like school too much when I was younger. I did well at it, but it wasn't an enjoyable experience, and I was like, that felt like prison to me, to be stuck in school for, 10, 15 years to be able to go on a
Mhm.
trip to the moon. So, yeah, be able to do it
Yeah.
by
You
different.
got you got other ways to get there.
Yeah.
What about you? What's like biggest obstacle you've had to overcome on your journey to get to where you are now?
Um, hmm, biggest obstacle. I don't know. I feel like I've never really gone against anything that I felt was super difficult to overcome. Like everything's just, you know, I mean, dealing with artists sometimes and personalities and like, maintaining good relationships with everyone is probably a big obstacle. Um, but everything is manageable. I feel like everything is, and I've always been of the mindset I'm a solution based person. So with every single problem that there is and every single problem that we're faced with, there's always a solution. There's always a way to figure it out. Whether it's a financial situation or, difficulty dealing with a venue or, and anything like there's literally solutions to every. I don't think there's a problem on this planet that doesn't have a solution to it. Maybe I could be wrong, um, but even like big things like curing cancer or curing major illnesses and diseases and stuff, I feel like there is solutions to those problems, to those massive life-threatening problems. There's a solution to it. So I always I don't really look too much towards what are the obstacles and what are the things that are going to set us back or the hard challenges that we're facing. I just always try to look for how can we make this better? How can we fix this situation? How can we improve on our past mistakes? Yeah. So I don't know. It's hard for me to pick something that's like a major challenge. I would say like, yeah, just, growth or I would say wanting to grow too fast, too quick is definitely a challenge and something that a lot of artists and musicians face. Like the amount of artists that like just want to blow up, you know what I mean? Oh, by next year I'm going to blow up or something. It's like, it's a lot to do that. There's a lot of things that need to be in place. And then every now and then some miracle happens and you just make a song that becomes a hit and it takes off and the whole world loves you for it. But even those artists, people who aren't ready for it and they don't have the fundamentals lined up in the front end, then on the back end they fall apart and they become those one hit wonder artists that
Right.
have a big song
Just fizzle out.
and then completely disappear, or artists that like blow up on TikTok and get a record deal based on that song that blew up on TikTok, and then they go a year on that record label and then all of a sudden the record label drops them because they don't have anything to follow it up with and they've got nothing, no infrastructure set up in place and no ability to tour or to really connect deeply with their fans. Yeah, so I would say, yeah, just yeah, not really any hard obstacles. There's always a solution, and even for those one hit wonder artists, there's a solution for them too. It's just doubling down on what works and then creating your core group of fans and then building from there. You don't have to be a massive artist and like known by millions of people to be able to be successful in this industry. I find you can make more off of less. And you can have a hardcore group of fans that really support you and create a sustainable career for you off of that.
I love that mindset. There is no problem that can't be overcome. I was reading a book recently, Eliyahu Goldratt, and he talks about there's no problems that, well, basically he said problems don't exist. There's only unaddressed assumptions. So if a problem is a set of contradictions, like, this and this don't go together. But he says underlying one of those aspects, there's an assumption that hasn't been analyzed, and then once you look at it, then it falls away and you realize, oh, there was no problem. So 100% agree that there's no problems. There's always a solution. So I love that. And also, I like how you're saying in that example of the artists that, they might have a one-hit wonder and they don't have the systems in place. Like I was just having the prior podcast with Jeff McCallum. It's the same thing with a business. The business, if you don't have the fundamentals in place, you're looking at your financial reports, you want to read the numbers, even if, you might land a huge customer or a lot of work, and then you can't manage it, you can't handle it if you don't have those systems. So I like what you said about the fundamentals, and you have to make sure those are in place. So that's great. So you mentioned your book. What's your book about?
Yeah, I got a copy of it right here. Well, It's called Rapper's Guide to an Enlightened Mind, and it's basically the story of my life. Yeah, some of the key takeaways are basically just, going through, like we talked about there, going through struggles, going through ups and downs, some setbacks in my life. I was, young and got, involved in doing things that were, considered criminal in a sense. When I was at a younger age, I was selling drugs and got put in jail for it, and learned a lot from that lesson, and got out and realized like I really wanted to change my life and turn it around, and instead of selling drugs, go out and sell tickets to shows and sell merchandise and sell CDs and sell hats and toques and hoodies and uh, yeah, I mean, and then books, so it kind of talks a little bit about that journey of going through that realization and understanding that I never wanted to have my freedom taken away from me ever again. So learning some hard life lessons. And then also, I mean, I wrote it during COVID at a time when everyone was kind of isolated and really going through some mental struggles of their own. And it was written basically to inspire people and to help give them some good framework for their mind and some positive things that they could focus on, affirmations, and how to wake up and be thankful about life, and just some of the lessons that I've learned throughout my life, reading different books and taking little bits and pieces from each one and putting it into my own story. So yeah, I mean, it's a self-help book to really inspire people and to help them feel empowered about what they can do with their time and their energy. And yeah, I mean, it's become like a Bible for some that, bring it around everywhere and go back to it and reference it. And I've sold tons of copies of it, and I'm really blessed to have been able to share that side of me in a story form like that. And I'm working on my second book now, and yeah, just gonna continue trying to offer my advice through different means of communication. And I think everybody should write a book at some point, then share, some of the things that they've learned in their life, and people are going to connect with it.
Amazing, I love it. What's your next book going to be about?
Similar situation. The title that I'm like pontificating is Living the Life That I Always Wanted to Live, which is basically just, talking about how I want to live my life, how I want to show up in my life for myself, for my loved ones, for my friends, my family, and what I want to offer for the world, the impact that I want to leave, the legacy that I want to leave. And yeah, I mean, it's basically on the same vein as that, just like a self-help book to inspire people and to, teach them how to live at an optimal level, and how to be great, how to really take advantage of the life that they have and the time that they have and make the most of it.
Awesome. I'll definitely have to get a copy of that.
Yeah.
So sort of in that vein of self-development, do you have any spiritual practices? Is religion part of your life? To what extent does that influence your mindset and your actions?
Yeah, for sure. I don't really practice religion in a sense, although I do feel like there's some sort of creative or creator force that helped shape this and put this all together. I have a pretty deep spiritual practice, and meditate and really try to center myself and talk to spirit and have spirit talk through me, like pay attention to the signs and listen to what the universe is trying to tell me and where the direction that it's trying to take me in my life. And yeah, I mean, I've been blessed to go on some really intense psychedelic and plant medicine journeys that I think have really opened up my spirituality and given me the ability to channel spirit a little bit more. And I feel like even just with my music, the way that it is, I don't feel like I really write any of my songs. It kind of like the songs write themselves based on just tapping into whatever collective consciousness that has these creative ideas and creative forces. So yeah, I mean, I'm big into um, just trying to learn more about why we're here, what our true purpose is, and how we're able to hone in on those gifts and to really let them come forth and like come through us and flow through us. So whatever creative endeavors that you're into, and even in business, you can be creative, but just like allowing those gifts to shine through and to really like um, listen to be quiet in the mind and hear what you know. I feel like all the time we're shown signs of what to do with our lives and where to go and who to be and the different directions that we can take with our lives and how to act. When you're doing something that's not serving your highest good, and when you are, you really do. When you're poisoning your body and doing things that are putting you down a negative path or a negative spiral, then it's going to affect you in the long run, and you're going to feel the pain and the sting of that. And I feel like if you focus on what you should be doing with your life, um I mean, I just know for myself personally, when I'm in the my flow state and I'm in the most productive and giving force, it's all because I'm making the right choices. It's all because I'm like focused on the right things and doing good for people and helping people in a very positive way. So yeah, I would say, yeah, for me, spirituality is ingrained into who I am, and the messages that I'm sharing with everybody is like, practice that, you know, take time for yourself, be still, meditate, do a yoga class, go out into the jungle and like explore who you really are. Yeah, there's some um, amazingness to this world, and honestly, this world is not really what it is. Like, this computer screen is not really here, the table's not here, the chair's not here. It's all just vibrating chemicals and atoms like pulsating together, and there's a whole other side to this reality that most of us don't get a chance to see. um, and I think it's so important to try to tap into what that is and why everything is the way that it is and how this was all created. And yeah, I think we can do that through meditation and also in the dream world, which I'm a big proponent of, is like trying to teach people how to lucid dream and how to wake up in their dreams and how to learn more things when they're in the dream state, because I think there's a lot of knowledge there, and I can't wait until science catches up with it when we're able to start experimenting more in the dream world, um, and also teach people how to do that. And I don't know why it's taken this long for that to slowly, like, I'm slowly seeing a little bit of research being done in that area, but like, I feel like in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, like, we're going to see a lot more people recognizing the power of dreams and like how profound they can be and what information that we can gather when we're in the dream world.
I love that you brought up dreams. That was going to be my follow-up question. I'm also a huge fan. And yeah, and in terms of technology, are you talking about, I've seen some of this already, it's starting, where they can put a helmet on you and then map, visualize your dreams on a screen, and, you could potentially record your dream, whatever you saw in there. Is that what you're talking about in terms of technology, or what else do you have in mind?
That, and also, I mean, just most recently they were able to pass messages through dreams. So they had two people go into deep REM sleep and go into the dream world, and one person passed a message to the other person in the dream world.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
which is like
I,
wild. So, and like, we can do this. We can literally, we are so powerful. We can all do this. We can meet up with friends of ours and do our own little experiments where we say, hey, I'm going to do something. I'm going to think of something or write something down on a piece of paper. I'm not going to show it to you. This is what I'm going to focus on delivering the message to you. We're going to go asleep. We're going to dream. And the whole time I'm going to be focusing on trying to pass this message to you. And then when you wake up, you tell me what you heard, what message it was that I delivered to you in that dream state, and like keep practicing until you can do it. But because once we get to that point where we can start meeting up with like our people, our loved ones, significant others, friends and stuff in the dream world, man, that's going to be a wild, wild roller coaster ride of like what is possible and what we can do once we start being able to like really adventure around in these dream worlds together.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's like a muscle you develop, like a skill. Same thing, like you said, lucid dreaming, and even I've taught people, and they say I've never had dreams, and I'm like, yes, you have. You just aren't paying attention. So you teach people to pay attention,
Hmm.
and they sort of just say, oh yeah, I have dreams. So I have this practice I want to share with you. I've been doing recently, but I found it super powerful. So for a long, long time, I journal all my dreams, and then I realized that you can take your dream, go to ChatGPT and say, do some Jungian analysis on the meaning of this dream, and it just such a good job of breaking down the symbology, and it might be something that you would think of as meaningless dreams, just confusing sequence, and then it'll break it down and say, no, like each element of your dream represents something, very relevant to your life, and you can give it some context of what's going on in your life, or a question that you ask your subconscious when you go to sleep. And I found that is a really cool way to connect with your subconscious and get the messages it's trying to send you
Cool.
in dreams. Yeah, that's been fun.
That's awesome.
But
For the win. It can
yeah,
do some crazy stuff. That's awesome. I'd be interested to try and plug some of mine in because yeah, I journal as well. I try to wake up and then first thing just like grab my phone and dictate what I can remember from the dreams that I just had. And sometimes it's like all over the place. Sometimes it's very concise and precise of what I saw and how I felt. And sometimes like dreams are so powerful to the point where you can like you feel things like there's like I'm doing a lot like more with astral projection now and like flying off of the planet and going and seeing you know star systems and different things like that, and I can literally feel myself flying, like feel the like wind flowing against my skin. It's the wildest thing ever. And like once I get to that point where I'm like it's visceral, it's such a cool experience. So yeah, I want to teach other people how to do it. And a lot of my friends, I have conversations with them about it, and I'm like asking them like, do you dream? Like, did you dream last night? Like, what did you dream about? And if they're telling me like, no, I don't remember anything, I like try to teach them how to, or what I did to be able to learn how to wake up in the dream world. And basically, you like you said, you plant seeds in your subconscious mind before you go to bed. Typically is the best time, like right before you go to bed, just like repeating over and over, I'm going to remember my dreams, I'm going to remember my dreams, I'm going to wake up in my dreams, I'm going to wake up in my dreams, I'm going to wake up in my dreams, I woke up in my dream, I woke up in my dream, I woke up in my dream. And really feel like what would that be like if you did that, and like visualize it. And then you can do it. I feel like the mind is such a powerful thing, and our subconscious is so powerful too. One of the best books that I ever read was called The Power of the Subconscious Mind. I think the author is Robert Murphy. um, and it like changed my life on what you can do with that, with your subconscious mind, and the seeds that you plant and the things that you tell yourself. Your internal dialogue is so important. So yeah, you can use that to learn how to operate in the dream world and how to wake up more and how to remember your dreams more.
amazing. Yeah, it's a whole nother world you can have access to rather than just being asleep for 8 hours out of it every day. It's a whole nother world you can explore. So we're getting towards time here. I have some rapid fire questions for you.
Yeah.
So just shorter answers. The first one I think you just covered is going to be your top book recommendation. I wrote down The Power of the Subconscious Mind. Any other top books?
I mean, in my book, I have a chapter in here, or I mean, a section where I list all of my references and the books that kind of like shaped my life and helped me on my journey. So I feel like I should just pick one of the ones from here. I would say all of the books by Jerry and Esther Hicks are incredible, but the first one that I was introduced to was The Law of Attraction by Esther and Jerry Hicks, and the Teachings of Abraham, and like that was a game changer for me. Just massive game changer. And if you're not familiar with Jerry and Esther Hicks, Esther kind of channels this spiritual entity called Abraham, and it's like multiple beings all in one, and it's basically like a question and answer thing, and she goes and does tons of speaking engagements all over the world and sits there and channels this entity, and people ask it questions, and the answers are so powerful and so deep, and like you just, yeah, it's mind-boggling. So yeah, sorry, I know this is rapid, but I want to really give her flowers,
Oh, that's great.
those authors their flowers, because that it's like next level stuff. And some people might believe that it's like, oh, it's woo woo, it's BS, it's not really true, there's no way that she's channeling an entity or whatever. And there's other channelers that are out there that people kind of look sideways at, but I feel like there's some profound stuff in there, and if you listen to it enough, you're gonna grab some tidbits that really are good for you and applicable to your life.
100%. All right. Dinner with anyone alive or dead. Who would it be and why?
Sorry, if I could be with anyone?
Have dinner with anyone, alive or dead.
Dinner with
Who would it be?
dinner with anyone alive or dead. That's a great question. I would say the first one that comes to my mind is Jesus. I think it would be pretty cool to sit and chat with him, because I feel like the Jesus and the whole religion story got kind of hijacked a little bit, and I feel like he was just somebody who was super tapped in with spirit and just like understood how to connect with it at a high level. And I think his story got kind of manipulated a little bit throughout the ages, and I'd love to hear it firsthand from him, like what it was all about.
That's a great answer. I asked this question to ChatGPT as well. Who are the top? I just asked it. Who are the top 10 people ever? And it was like, in the same context, like Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and like, yeah, why wouldn't you want to talk to those people? They have such an impact in the world. And I agree. It's been like a game of telephone for 2,000 years. So, or like photocopies of photocopies. So go back to the source, get that information. That would be powerful. If you could if you could wave a wand and be free of any habit, what would it be?
I don't know. I've done really good to not have any bad habits. And I mean, this year I quit smoking weed, and that was like my biggest bad habit, I would say. I used to smoke cigarettes, and I quit that. I don't really drink. I don't gamble. I don't do, I don't know, bad habit. I mean, maybe scrolling on my phone. Sometimes that can become a little addictive. Every now and then I'll get stuck on a little scroll hole. So yeah, I would say if I could just use the phone for what I need it for and not ever get sucked into anytime I'm watching something, I'm like, why am I watching this? That's when I'm just like, okay, this is not good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've been there too. Talking about your phone, what's your favorite app on your phone or most used?
It'd be social media, either Facebook or Instagram for sure. That's what I go to the most and what helps me connect with my fans the most, I think. So either one of those would definitely be my favorite app. I don't like to have games or anything like that on my phone, so I don't really use it for anything other than GPS and social media.
And how do you unwind after a long day?
I like watching movies. Not into television shows, but movies are basically my only winder downer. Yeah, or like chatting with a friend or something like that. But I would say movies is my go-to to wind down, or like if I'm like eating a meal and I'm by myself, I'll just cook my meal and watch a movie and eat.
You got favorite movie recommendations?
My favorite movie is Waterworld, which is a random one. Have you ever seen it?
No, I haven't seen
Yeah,
it,
a
but
lot
I'm
of
writing
people,
it down.
when I say it, they're just like, what is that movie? It's a Kevin Costner movie. It's older, but it's always been my favorite movie. And yeah, just go and check it out, Google it, and if you can watch it, watch it. I don't know if it's on any streaming services or whatever, but it's incredible. It's such a good movie.
Awesome. That's great. All right. Yeah, that's it for rapid fire. So, where can people find you and connect with you, Robbie?
Best places are probably on social media. My Facebook page, just search Robbie G, ROBBIEG. On Instagram, I am Robbie G. and my website is robbieghiphop.com. You can check out all my music there. All of my events from my company are on robbiegpresents.com. So if you're looking to, come and see a show somewhere, that's the best place to go to be able to see where I am or where the shows are that we're producing. And yeah, I mean, I'm pretty accessible, and a lot of people when they message me, fans and stuff, they're like, wow, you are one of the artists that actually like responds back to people, and like, I stay on my messages, and if it's not me, it's my assistant, somebody from my team that's like responding, but we try to make sure that everybody who reaches out gets answered. So if you do reach out, your stuff is not going to sit in an inbox for weeks on end or months or a year before you're going to get a response, or you'll never get a response. I want to make sure that everybody gets a response, no matter what level that I get to. If I become a person with 1 million followers, I still want to be able to either myself or have my team be able to reach out to everybody who reaches out to us.
Amazing. That's great. That's a great intention to have, and I think it definitely must set you apart from the other artists. Yeah, like you said, they just leave people on red.
Mhm.
So that's awesome. Well, Robbie, it's been great. Pleasure speaking with you. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for your time.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Nick. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll talk later. Thanks.
For sure. Have a good one.